Hello, welcome to Openly Spoken. Happy Pride Month. Today's episode is just a short and sweet compilation video, and I am including three guests that are going to be in upcoming episodes this month for the celebration of Pride Month. And then I am also including previous guests, either from Pride Month or guests that I've had on other episodes that have shared about their queer experience in our conversations. And so this is a short and sweet video and audio episode. I highly recommend if you are listening to this on Apple or on Spotify to switch on Spotify to video version or go over to the YouTube link, which will be in the captions, so that you can see every guest that is speaking, because there are going to be multiple clips in here, and some guests are speaking more than once. They broke up the clips throughout the whole episode, and you might want to go check them out. You might want to go see their accounts. You might want to go see their previous episodes. There are episodes that I pulled from that are as old as 2022. So there's some really good gems here. And yeah, there's not much more to say. You can see that my background is different. I moved across the country. I am back on the East Coast. It feels really good. And I'm excited to celebrate Pride Month. And if this is not your first time listening, and you have been here before and you have not yet given us a rating over on Spotify and on Apple, please do that right now. I will wait. I will wait. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Did you do it? Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Feel free to pause if you need more time. All right, that's it. Let's get into the episode. Bye. Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. On this show, we talk about self-love, sexuality, relationship tips, including ending the cycle of toxic relationships, and healing and thriving after heartbreak. Hi, I'm your host, Celia, and I am a certified sex, love, and relationship coach, helping ambitious women with a history of toxic relationships feel deeply connected in healthy love. These are such important topics that every woman deserves, so if you could leave this show a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to help more women find this, it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being here today. Now let's dive into the show. What is your favorite part about being a woman?
Breasts. No. I think that's my favorite part about being a lesbian. Let's see.
Hello, straights. Straights. Let me catch you up on a bit of queer culture. The word queer is back in. Queer is cool. We like the word queer. If anything,
queer is so hot right now.
Queer is so hot right now. If anything, we like the word queer because it's a unifying term, you know, like we don't have to.
The funny thing about converting to Buddhism, and I tell this to everybody, after you do something like that, everything in your life recalibrates and reorganizes. And again, I'm still with the same boyfriend. This is 4 years.
All through this. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Through all of this, I am still trying hard to make it work.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I invited him to come to my ceremony and he was just like, this is all getting a bit much. Like, why do you have to convert? All of that. And I remember thinking like, this isn't going to last much longer. Like, I knew that when I decided to put on those robes and take those vows, that everything was going to change in a way that I could not imagine. Yeah. I knew that I was doing something very drastic. And I did it, and literally I felt like a glow in my face. Like, I just felt like my whole energy changed. 2 weeks later, I was moving out of his house. Like, I I have to start over. I came out before then, and I even came out to him before then.
I didn't feel like gay or lesbian, which like when we were in high school, were kind of like the only two like sexualities you could really take on, and people would actually understand what you were saying and had words to go with them, I think, too. Like had definitions.
I would
So-
say bisexual too. That was
Yeah.
a big one as well, and at least in my high school.
Yeah, I would actually, I would throw that in there too. So you had like those three definitions. I didn't feel like I fit any of those three specifically.
My queer identity and all of these things that I've learned from queer dating that we mentioned today, all of the having to question everything and learn how to separate other people's reactions to you from your own inner reality. Those were life-changing skills that have helped my spirit blossom in so many other areas of life.
I was about 14 when I came out or was outed to my mother. At that time, was brought up with a very particular religious upbringing. And what I remember was I was called into her room, and she knelt down in front of me and cried and prayed because she believed at the time that I was going to hell, or that that's what that meant. At least that's how I perceived it. This is my perception. And of course, she'll share her side, and she's done a lot of healing through this as well. So, but it was my perception. So for a long time, I lived with a lack of confidence, a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-love.
There was one girl there who was sharing very openly about her attraction to women, her experience dating women in these like spiritual lessons. And I was very intrigued by her, and I found myself journaling about her a lot. And I was like, what is it? Why am I so drawn to her? Is it because I'm like jealous? Like, is it because I'm intrigued?
I was sitting in meditation at the temple. We were in like a deep 2-hour process, and I just got to a point where I saw myself kind of rise out of my body, turn, sit in front of me, and like look at me. And the funny thing is that what had been on my mind all day is that my best friend was going to study abroad in Italy, and she was bringing her boyfriend, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was like bothering me. And this vision, I'm in this meditation, I'm trying to figure out, well, like, let this go, it's not a big deal. And then suddenly I'm seeing myself like grabbing my own shoulders, like, you're in love with her. You wish you were going to Italy. Like, you hate the boyfriend. Like, that's the problem, Jane.
People get really offended if you call them homophobic or racist or sexist or whatever it is. And it's like, why is that word so offensive? Because imagine if the word is offensive, then imagine how the act of receiving that word feels. And just because you might not be running around spewing hate speech or causing harm to queer people, your actions speak louder than words. And, you know, for me, if you voted a certain way in the last election, that's a blatant act of homophobia. And I will say that until I am blue in the face, because look what's happening in our world right now. You know, queer people, homophobia is alive and well, unfortunately. But people who say, oh, it's so much better than it used to be. Sure, it's better than it used to be, but it still exists. And it's something that queer people still face every single day.
It was a bit scary though. I never shared photos of my partner until way later. But once I did it, definitely it was very much liberating. And even if you may think, but it's been so long, like you've been out for more than 20 years, well, still, you need to still keep coming out every single time to every single person you know.
I want to live in a world where I don't need to come out of the closet.
Yeah.
Where if I say my wife, people don't do a double take and say, you're what? I've seen that so often because I don't present as, you know, look gay necessarily.
Yeah, whatever that means. Like,
Whatever that means. Exactly.
And it was almost like I threw a fit at myself in this spiritual meditation. It was like, think about that girl and that time and all of this. And like, whoa. And it was like, why won't you just accept who you are? I wanted to stop what I was doing and run away from that place and get so far away. And the thing in places like that is that it's very rude to just get up and leave. And so I had to stay there and deal with it.
I really had all this time to just really process everything. And I realized after 2 weeks, I was like, I'm in love with her. Like my heart was so open. Like there was no conditioning, none of these like fears and barriers. It was the purest experience of love I'd ever had. And it was so like, I was like holding space for myself. What was also interesting was I didn't begin to be like, what does this mean? What's my label? Like I didn't go down all those paths. It was purely, I could just be present with that experience of like, that is what this is.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is.
Some people love getting really nitty gritty with their labels. And I love that for them because that means they've really taken time to sit with themselves and contemplate who they are. But I think that there's also something really freeing about the word queer as a label that just says, I know I'm a little different and I don't know exactly in what way or in what that means, or like, I'm not ready to like box that around with a label, but I want to identify, I want to give language to the fact that I see something in me that goes against this heteropatriarchal norm grain. And I honor it and I wear it proudly, you know. We're weird.
Love that.
We're weird and proud. We let those freak flags fly.
The only thing that mattered was that she was my daughter and she was hurting. And I was a big cause of that. And that had to change. That had to stop.
And like, I was always, being a theater kid, as you were too, like you're always friends with the other queer kids. Like, and I feel like every theater kid is just like a little bit queer. Sometimes we're like a little bit too touchy feely, a little bit too honest, a little bit like
Yeah, we love hugs.
Yeah. I feel like everyone who does any kind of theater is like just a little bit queer at an absolute minimum. And
You don't look gay. I'm like,
what does that mean? Like, you have to have a buzzed head or what? Like,
lots of therapy, lots of yoga. And I think that's something you have to undo before you can redo. I had to do so much unlearning. I had so much internalized homophobia. It wasn't even like there was like constant like homophobic comments or remarks or bashing, but where I grew up and in the community, I just knew that it wasn't okay. I knew that it wasn't even an option. I was like, I can't be gay because it is not an option. That would be the worst possible thing that I could be. Not true. Not true.
Some of us may remember the Lizzie McGuire show. I had the biggest crush on Hilary Duff and Lizzie McGuire show. But I didn't know that it was a crush because I had no idea at the time that was even like a possibility. I just knew that I had the biggest crush on her.
yeah.
And I just loved watching that show so I could watch her because she's so beautiful. And then when I was 14, when I learned that people could be attracted to all genders. And I was like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Do you remember where you learned that?
On the school bus.
On the school bus. The school bus is a great place to learn wisdom as a kid. That's where we all learn. We learn where babies come from. We learn all the things on the school.
On the school bus.
I ended up doing a deep dive online, like figuring out like all these different sexualities. And I remember it was like a website that had all the different flags on it. And I remember clicking on the demisexual one. I was like, I have no idea what this flag is. And purple is my favorite color. So we will be clicking on this flag. I clicked on it. I was like, oh, this, it like just like really resonated with me, what it said in the little description. And so as you do, I started on a YouTube black hole deep dive of what it meant to be demisexual. And every video I watched just like reconfirmed in for me that this was like, I had finally found like a way to identify myself within the queer community.
It's so interesting because I've never even, until this podcast, like I've never even thought about like feeling like I'm not included in things. A lot of my friends have kids or are having kids, but I've never been like, oh, I don't belong being friends with them. Like, but I think I like the idea of finding possibly other queer people that have chosen not to have kids as well, and just like connecting, because you're the first person that I've been like, yes, this is what I believe, besides my partner. So I'm like, I feel like I want to keep this conversation going, and like, yeah, maybe find a little community.
Yay, yeah.
LGBTQ rights are,
I don't know how this is possible, but I feel even gayer than when I arrived. I was like